Welcome back to the program. Well, August 12, 2026, today is International Youth Day, and the idea is just to bring issues that affect young men and women today, highlight them, and try to, celebrate the youths as well as look for the ways forward. So let's get to speak with those who we are talking about today. I mean, I'm a youth as well, so it's a day. Let's get some insights on the program this morning. We are joined by Olumati Isaiah. He's the candidate, Federal House of Reps, Action Democratic Party. We also have joining us this hour as well, Zakari Idris, political activist as well as a public affairs commentator, and from Boston, Massachusetts, is Emmanuel Zaka, international affairs analyst. Is also a master's graduates from the Harvard Kennedy School and Harvard Divinity School. Thank you indeed, gentlemen, for agreeing to talk to us here on the program. Let's begin the conversation with Isaiah. Isaiah, well, today is International Youth Day, so congratulations to you and us. How does it feel to be a young man in Nigeria?
Well, I think it's interesting as an individual first to be a young man. We have just one life, right? So it's one phase. I think we're getting the best of that phase. But then how does it feel to be a young man in Nigeria? I think it's a sweet, bittersweet taste. It's bitter because we have expectations, especially with the government, but when these expectations are not being met. However, on the flip side, Nigeria is a country of a multiplicity of possibilities, right? So that possibility gives us some hope. And my hope is, as we go forward and as we grow as a nation, that we can find balance between the value government brings or governance brings and the opportunities that we have in our space as Nigerians.
Well, let's take the conversation to Zakari as well. International Youth Day, when you look at the environments that we find ourselves, unfortunately we're unable to get a female to be a part of this conversation today, so we're talking to all men. But when you look at this environment here, the average young Nigerian and the issues, I wonder perhaps how you think that you have been able to navigate that. Paint that backstory for us, please.
Thank you, great question, and thank you for having me. Like you rightly asked, today is International Youth Day. Is there much to celebrate as a young person living in Nigeria? I hate to be the purveyor of bad news, but I don't think there's very much to celebrate. Although, like my brother had rightly noted, the potentials are almost endless. The young person living in Nigeria is confronted by a myriad of problems, from the highest prevalence of drugs anywhere in the world, one of the countries with the highest prevalence of drugs, to the hopelessness that has been instituted by those in the political class, to the general air of crime and insecurity that the young people. This is the only country in the world where we have young people in the bush that are not animals, who, under the guise of Iswapism, kidnapping, and all manner of other social and criminal vices, have now made the bush their permanent abode. I don't think there's anywhere in the world where young people live in the bush running around with AK-47. Even in the urban areas, you have the prevalence of internet fraud, you have the prevalence of officism and all of the other funny things that happen only in Nigeria. It doesn't happen very much anywhere else. But I want to always note, I'm an incurable optimist. I believe that the problems are solvable. I believe that the average Nigerian, the young Nigerian, if he takes sufficient interest in those who govern him, and he puts himself out to lead the country, to lead in any sector or sphere, take more than a passive interest in what happens in this country, a lot can change in a very, very short period of time. And that's my call today on International Youth Day, that the young Nigerian must take more interest in those who lead, more interest in the process, the leadership recruitment process, and more leadership generally in the kind and quality of leaders we have, from the president down to the local government councillor. So that's my general take on today's.
Let us also bring in Emmanuel Zaka, who is in Boston and joins us live on the program. Emmanuel, I know that the time difference is really, really wide, about 6 hours or thereabouts. Yeah. You've had to stay awake just to be on the show. But I know that you used to be a journalist in Kaduna State, and you were in the northern Nigeria for quite some time before you had to leave for the US to go study. But what goes on in the average mind of the average youths in northern Nigeria, a region you are very, very familiar with?
Thank you for having me. It's been a very long while, and thank you again for what you helped us do when 39 of our students were kidnapped at Afaka, where I taught before I came to the Divinity School and later to the Kennedy School. Truly, it is difficult to even add more to what my two colleagues, especially Idris, has said. But before I go into that, I want to also make it clear that none of us, except for Olu Martin, maybe, are not a youth. I have not seen any definition that puts a 45-year-old as a youth. None. Now, I am not comfortable with that, with 50-year, 60-year-old people just occupying spaces that very young people within the ages of 15, 24, or 35, depending on what definition you are looking at, should be occupying. So what I worry about, especially in northern Nigeria, is that every single day I wake up, the first thing, I am even sometimes afraid to come on social media, because the first thing that greets me is the abduction of people. Just yesterday in Kaduna, I learned that within the metropolis, people were kidnapped, and most of the people that are engaged in this criminality are very, very young people. You see them; some of them are even kids. And I think what we are breeding for the future is something that should scare all of us. And unfortunately, it is no longer a thing of the North. It is something that is everywhere. So in the mind of the average young person in Nigeria is, how do we get the kids that are out of school, how do we get them back in school? Not just in school, but in school that have quality. Because sometimes it's not just getting people back to school, but what quality do we have in the school? And the schools that we even have, how do we prepare these young people, not for a future that does not offer them anything, but for a future that offers them something? I've been to many, many conferences and classes here on policy. And you hear a lot of conversations around the fact that Africa has the highest population of young people in the world, and it will even get even not quite higher than say Asia, because Asia has higher population than Africa. But if you compare population to population, we have a large population of young people. But again, that population can be both either a blessing or it can be a curse. At the rate we are going, especially in Nigeria, especially in northern Nigeria, I'm afraid that if we do not do something very seriously to engage these young people, that population, that demography, instead of becoming a blessing to us as it is for other parts of the world, it would be a curse. And I'm afraid for us.
Let me bring you to Isaiah. So let's talk about political consciousness that Zach has raised. And I want to also contextualize it in real time. The elections are just maybe 5 months away, and the young people have registered, and they are going to be registering. They played a critical role in the last election. But I want us to talk about what the differentials are in terms of surviving the political atmosphere in Nigeria. It feels to me, from a journalist point of view and looking at how the scene has played out, and I'll give examples so that it contextualizes for your responses as well, because this is going to be a question for everyone. It feels like the older generation, there's something they understand about political consciousness and their ability to survive the political battle of attrition that gives them a staying power even when they're recording losses to the point where they are now victorious. So Bola Tinubu, for instance, our president, he was governor up up until 2007 and patiently waited, fought all the battles he could within the state level, expanded his influence until in 2023 he came to become president of Nigeria. He's now seeking re-election. Not everybody has that tenacity for the battle of attrition. Do you think that the young people of Nigeria, talking about political consciousness, are really ready for the kind of political battle and the attrition that is required to be able to, win out the older people as soon as they can? Let me start with Isaiah. Isaiah, that's for you.
I'm sorry, I think we had a bit of network glitch, so I didn't get that question very well.
I'm just talking about the ability of the older people.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I was trying to draw a parallel, if you will, between the older and the younger generation when it comes to political consciousness and what I call political battle of attrition. The ability to hold on for a long term to get what they want, as the sense of immediacy and urgency that young people want to use to swoop in to get things done. I want you to reconcile this position and how that will affect the political consciousness of young people to be able to come into power to make a difference. Oh, their network. Idris, if you can hear me, let me. Okay.
It's a bit of network glitch, but I think I hear a part of what you are saying, and I hope I can do justice to the question in the light that you have asked. We have two generations, as you've clearly pointed out.
Olumati, I hope that we can get back to getting you to speak to us, but the network is really not very supportive. Idris, I don't know whether you got my question. It's a question I want to put across to all of you because that's central to this conversation.
I got your question. Fantastic question. I just want to, in answering your question, because you described it as some sort of virtue, that these guys who occupy public office today have been there long enough and had the patience to remain true to whatever they wanted, and today they have acquired power. The reality of it is that they seem to have acquired power for the sake of acquiring power alone. Because power in itself, they say, corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. But if you seek public office or you seek power, it should be to the effect of changing the lives of the generality, doing the greatest good to the greatest number of Nigerians, speaking in Nigerian context now, in the shortest possible time. I just give you a classical example. A couple of weeks ago, the bishops, the Catholic bishops, archbishops, if you like, in Nigeria, had gone to see the president, and as part of his reply to them for the myriad of problems they noted was besetting the country, he said that all is fair in politics. And this is not the kind of virtue we preach, because even in war, you see, Russia and Ukraine have agreed to fight. Even in that battle between two people who have pronounced themselves enemies, all is not fair. That's why you have the Geneva Convention. That's why you have a situation where in war, you cannot attack women and children, you cannot attack schools, you cannot attack churches, you cannot attack orphanages. So even in war, all is not fair. So the philosophical backing of our president that all is fair in politics is flawed fundamentally. I'll give you another example. Just yesterday, a senator of the Federal Republic was addressing his supporters in Osun State, and the senator said, if you find members of a particular political party, kill them. This is not from a movie, this is real life. And as we speak today, the senator of the Federal Republic is on TV telling lies that what he said was generated by AI, even when he said it in Yoruba. I don't know if our AI models now speak Yoruba language. And I'll give you a final one. In Kano State, an Islamic sheikh was addressing partisan people in Kano. And he said that the people of a particular religion must make it a duty to dominate those of the other religion in the country. And to that effect, he said, not on the premise of performance, that they must support the president who is running a same faith ticket. So if you look at this litany that I have just explained and how the government is quiet about it, and you now juxtapose that with Justice Clark, for example, who reported the objective living condition of the Nigerian soldiers on the front line. And it was picked up. Keep in mind, just yesterday, 10 policemen of the SIS were killed by terrorists in Kebbi. And you now juxtapose that with Omoyele Sowore, who said the president was a criminal and the DSS was Oluba. So the DSS are taking this two guys. You compare that with what those in the ruling party have said, it now seems to me that there are two rules in Nigeria. One for those who are Nigerians who do not believe in the APC, and one for Nigerians who are in the APC. This is bad behavior that must not be encouraged. So for the youth, like I said before, take more than just a passive interest in politics, because we must effectively we have to dismantle this confusion as we approach 2027.
Let me see what I can get in not Idris now. Isaiah, can you hear me now, Isaiah? Isaiah, if you can hear me, I want to see
Yes,
what
I think I can hear you.
Yes, so Idris has, gone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Idris has gone into a lot of aspects of the conversation, but my core conversation has to do with understanding the kind of politics we play, putting it in simple terms, and knowing how to approach it, to invade it if possible, and super saturate it so that there will be a new school of thought. That's my question.
Well, I like to put it this way, and I've said it to anybody that cares to listen. I reiterated this, or I began to preach this in 2022. I think that the mass population of the young people in this country seem to draw a measure of ego from complaints. They're excited about being right. They're excited about having knowledge of the problem. But that quality of passion, that energy, does not come in when they have to put their boots down and do the job. Now, when I mean do the job, I do not mean campaigning. I do not mean publicizing. I mean put yourself in the position to be responsible at that level. You see, so when it comes to responsibility at that level, you have them shy away. And things we have them say is, we have young people say stuff like, they have not given us power. And I insist that power is not given, power is taken. We have to have a young mass of people that will go beyond complaints, that will go beyond protests, that will go beyond social media dragging and all of that, and then put their foot down, put their boots down. If they have to raise funds, they raise funds. If they have to build a valuable following, they build a valuable following, and they have to go. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. And I'm glad that my dear brother Zachary is on this contest. We have to go beyond being good. We have to become necessary. There is so much around the play of good that people are not doing what is necessary to be in the system, or to take power, or to take responsibility. We listen to people. When people speak, I hear what they are saying, I hear what they are not saying. And I know we're national television, but I have to put this out. There is a measure of evil that must meet evil at a point if evil will not give way for good. And until young people get to that point, we may not, advance beyond this. We will complain, we will cry, but we will not go beyond it.
Zaka, we can talk about the problems from now till tomorrow. We're not in short supply when it comes to Nigeria's problem. For some of us, we just want to make sure that as many of you young people as possible get into the space. So it's the same question I asked, because it's central to the leadership of our country. If they say young people are in the majority, significant majority, that means they can not only just move the needle, they can swing things drastically. And if you put the young people at the policy level, you can imagine what that means with their ingenuity and maybe the addition of the wisdom of the elderly. So talk to us about strategy of getting in and being relevant when you get in, rather than just being, boys that scrape the table.
Yeah, I love the pushback that Idris gave concerning whether it is even a virtue that people wait for long and then they come to power and they offer nothing. Buhari is a very classical example of that patience, waiting. He waited all his life, and thank God he finally got the opportunity to show us what he had, and God rest his soul. But the story is out there. We know exactly what he offered. Now, I meet young Nigerians because the thing is we have to also understand that the youth we are talking about do not just reside in Nigeria. There are so many of them that are outside the country. And I think there is a way that we need to have this collaboration between those that are on the continent, those that are at home, and those that are in the diaspora. Like just at Harvard alone, I have met more than 50 young Nigerians. Some of them are actually born in the US, actually, but some of them came here with their parents. I mean, their parents. They came with their parents when they were very young. They are excited about home. They have a lot that they have to offer. And the interesting thing is the contrast between the youth in Nigeria and the youth here. Here you have somebody who is graduating from college. The person has already had like 5 different internship experiences. The person is able to build something. The person is sure that after school, they are choosing where they even want to work, and they are very big places. So, but back home in Nigeria, you are talking about young people, not just young people. I've told you that after 35, I don't think it's fair to call anybody even young. People who are even in their 50s, you find them that they are the ones who are following politicians up and down because they have family, they don't have work, they don't have anything, any means of feeding their family, so they rely on being loyal to politicians who are responsible for their predicaments in order to survive. So if you have the mass of the people in that kind of condition, these are the people you are planning a future with. How do you plan it? I think the way is to go about doing it. Idris, Zaka, Martins, let us just go about doing it. The few of us that understand that this thing is possible, let us just keep doing it, not minding the number. Gradually, by the time we begin to see small results, people will just come in because the result has a way of attracting people. Another thing I think we should pay attention to is that we have a lot of energy, young people. Sometimes the energy in the right direction, but usually this energy comes around election time. And once election is gone and we are disappointed with the result, the energy dissipates and we go back again to complaining. Some of us, we even compromise and fall in and go the easy way. But we have to stay the course. We have to agree on exactly what it is that we want. What kind of Nigeria that we really want. So we have an idea exactly where we are going, and we continue to move in that direction so that when we have the opportunity, we will not perform abysmally as some of the young people who have been given opportunity have really disappointed.
All right.
I think that is the way to go. We should stay the course. We should continue to do it.
Let me ask all 3 of you very personal questions, and I'm going to run through this as quickly as possible. For you, Zaka, what values would you refuse to compromise, even if compromising those values would perhaps eventually make you rich? Very quickly, just 1 or 2.
What values will I?
What values would you refuse to compromise, even if compromising those values would have made you rich?
I would never compromise the values of not taking bribe. I would never ever want to take a bribe to see what is wrong and then say that it is not.
All right.
Again, I will never sell my vote.
That's fine.
Never pay. I will never accept money for my vote.
So that's about 3 from you. Zachary as well, are you there? What values would you refuse to compromise, even if compromising those values would eventually make you rich?
You're asking a practical question because we are about to live through this reality, and that is that I will never side with the oppressors, no matter how fanciful it is, and especially in this country today, we have only one oppressor, those who occupy public office and have refused to use it to do public good. So no matter how disappointing it is, no matter how much Nigerians mock you for not having money, for not having a car, for not living the life, I don't feel the need to be in the corridors of power simply for the sake of being there, if it's not meant for the good of the generality of the people.
Isaiah, talk to us and make that declaration as well. What values would you refuse to compromise? Olumati, can you hear us? Oh my word.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great.
Well, you are asking a very practical question. You are asking a question I consider highly experiential because I've been there, where I've been offered some good sum. Permit me not to mention. I think it's the value of integrity. To stay true to my conscience, to stay true to my conviction, to insist on what I think is right. I am highly unwilling to compromise at that level, regardless of what is offered. Maybe, especially this is because I am not a career politician. I have a day job which I am highly committed to, and that takes good care of me. But probably in spite of that, I'm just unwilling to compromise on my integrity.
Well, gentlemen, thank you indeed for your time. Thank you indeed for your commitment to Nigeria as well. I'm trying to see if I can pull the theme for the International Youth Day for today. I'm trying to see if I can pull the theme out. Different context, common aspirations. And I believe this reflects our aspirations, whether you're from the north, from the south, from the east, or from the west. But as always, thank you indeed, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Let me see if I can just run through your names again and your designations. We've been joined this hour by Olumati Isaiah. He's the candidate, Federal House of Reps, Action Democratic Party. Zakari Idris, political activist and public affairs commentator. And Emmanuel Junior Zakaru has joined us live from Boston. He's an international affairs analyst and master's graduate from the Harvard Kennedy School and Harvard Divinity School. Thank you indeed, gentlemen, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin, and thank you, Zakari. We connect on the social media. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.